Hello everyone. In this video I'm going to talk about the hunger that several people seem to have for religion. And I'm going to tell a few stories. In some of my other videos I've talked about someone I know who I would label as a spiritual atheist. I mean, he doesn't believe in any doctrines, but he continues to make up all these myths about different gods and goddesses, things like the story of how winter came to Minnesota, and he's been very active in the local pagan community. He's regularly gone to synagogue. I've occasionally run into him at one of the churches I go to. I've talked about him before, but he's basically an atheist. Yet he really lives almost a completely religious life. He really doesn't live a secular life. And I've talked about him before, but some people I haven't talked about are... I'm going to actually first set up something that... the way my parents met was through English folk dancing. And a common custom for these different groups that do this type of English folk dancing, it's called Morris dancing. All the people from England watching this video are probably now about to shame me. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, on the first day of May, something that we commonly do is go to a mountain and do some dances as the sun rises. And the dance group I now dance with were doing a gig the week before, and we were talking about wearing our typical costumes. And one of the members was like, "Wait, before May Day? Wait, but what, we're doing that? Yeah, it's." And we were like, "Yeah, it's a paid gig, but it's before May Day. That's like, for me, that's like the closest thing I have to a religion." And she was getting very defensive, or getting very obsessive about us wearing our normal costumes before the first day of May. And because it was the closest thing she has to a religion. I mean, and I'm going to mention, this person is an atheist who is saying this. An atheist. She doesn't believe in any doctrines, but she still... I mean, to me it showed that she has this hunger for religion in some way. And another example is someone else in this sort of folk dance community talked about something that one of the groups does at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival. Late at night, they do this sort of slow dance around. Well, one of the musicians plays violin, and it's basically walking. But it can be a wonderful thing. And there was this other person who was talking about how, like, she always kind of needs her space during it because it's like the closest thing she's had to a religion. I mean, and she gets, like, sometimes it gets basically she said it's very special to her. And to me, once again, it kind of showed me that people seem to have this hunger for religion. Now, a lot of non-religious people might say that, well, we get all that from science, but in science, I mean, there aren't any real rituals. And it's like you go to the lab every day, make discoveries, and that's great, but you don't have, like, a special dance or a special time where you, like, recite a certain poem, and there isn't that. And I'm going to comment another thing that I think that this is a little bit separate, but I think something that people seem to like about religious mythology, that, I mean, what we get from science is absolutely glorious. I'm not knocking that at all, but I mean, I think one of the things about religious mythology is there's more of a human element. And, I mean, in a lot of science there is as well, but I think something that maybe reflects more our personal lives instead of the mechanism of how things work, of how the mechanism of our brain and all that. And I'm not knocking science at all. I think science is great. I think science also very much enhances spirituality. Lawrence Krauss referred to it as its own special kind of spirituality. He even talked about it as a greater spirituality. I'm not sure if I agree with him on if it's greater or not. Great and not great, or good and bad, are all matters of opinion, but overall, I think I see this hunger for ritual and a hunger for mythology, really. And so, yeah, I think a lot of people might talk down about religion, but I see a strong hunger that people really have for it. I can go on and on, but I'm not going to. Thank you for watching. Shalom.